Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about none other than Path of Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt update. Now we just did a video on this a couple of days ago trying to go over what we thought would be happening in Dawn of the Hunt, and now we finally have actual details. GGG just had a live stream just yesterday going through everything we need to know with Dawn of the Hunt, and today I'm going to be breaking that down for you to a much more digestible video because the live stream was over 2 hours long. I know a lot of you can't sit through that, so today we're going to talk about everything you need to know, make it short, sweet, and to the point so you guys know exactly what to expect on April 4th when Dawn of the Hunt comes to Path of Exile 2. So with that, let's jump into the video and talk about some of our major updates. Alright, starting out here with our major highlights, and that is this massive balance overhaul. Nearly every skill, ascendancy, and item has been reworked, balanced, changed in some way. Basically, everything that you had in the game before this is now slightly different, and hopefully for the better. Hopefully we're going to see a much better spread of balance across the characters, across ascendancies, and hopefully there'll be a lot more usable classes in the late end game. Now, of course, one of the biggest things is the new class, the Huntress, a hybrid melee ranged spear fighter. And I'm super excited for the Huntress. Definitely going to be rolling the Huntress probably on day one. They're agile, combo based. They have a lot of elemental synergies. They can tame beasts mid-fight and use them as companions. 22 skills, parry mechanics, tornado throws, detonation-based abilities. Very, very fun and exciting class. Very excited to get the spear. I'm very curious to see what the spear can do on other classes. Now, let's break down the new Ascendancy classes. This is going to really shake up the game, what you can do, what you can play, and everything you can see. So for the new character, the Huntress, we have the Amazon, an elemental crit-focused, classic, dex-based fighter. It's kind of the simple one. It's kind of the Ascendancy you would think of when you think of Huntress. Then we have Ritualist, one that I am most excited for. Triple rings. You get a third ring slot, access to corrupted blood, corpse sacrifice, and temporary modifier stealing from enemies. Basically, a miniature headhunter, which sounds so amazing. Having 3 rings, all doing all of this stuff. Very, very excited to try the ritual. Most likely that's what I'm going to be running, on day one. We'll have to see when it actually comes out there and see what the trees actually look like, but very, very excited for the ritualist. Now, next we have a huge update involving some existing classes in the game, starting with Warrior, the Smith of Ketiva. Forge armor or weapons in your ascendancy tree. So you don't have a chest piece anymore, and you craft your own using your ascendancy. Very, very excited to see how this turns out, if it's strong, if it's weak, where it falls into the meta, if it's a more support-based, more, crit-based. We'll just have to see how this does. Very, very excited to see the options with this, because Warrior right now wasn't feeling too great, honestly, before this, and I'm really hoping this will revive Warrior and allow it to do things that will just be really, really exciting. Now, next we have the Tactician for Mercenary, a team support role with banner stacking, AoE suppression, and off-screen archer strikes. Now, honestly, very, very excited for this. There wasn't a whole lot of team support rolling in the game before this. Chronomancer could do some pretty cool things for team support and Mercenary as well, but this is really, really going to define that role of team support. If you have a team you're playing with, just want to buff them and just roll, this is going to be a very desirable class. People are going to be looking for you to run with them when they're covering maps, especially really, really hard maps. I definitely will be rolling a Tactician Mercenary, probably not as my season starter or update starter, but definitely will be rolling one very, very fast after the season starts. And finally, we have the Lich for the Witch class, which I'm very, very excited about. Definitely, chaos, curses, converting health to energy shield, which did get nerfed, so we'll have to see about that. And exploding corpses with curses, definitely excited like that. I really did like the Witch in the previous season. All right, now let's break down some new mechanics and systems in the game. And Raise Spectre, summon nearly any monster in the game, cost spirit based on the power of the monster, and support gems, which just means you can use support gems to make it easier to summon probably more difficult enemies. And I think this is going to be absolutely busted. I think this will probably be very, very broken, and there'll probably be some very broken combinations with Raise Spectre. And so kind of what flashed through my mind is you get to maps and you're starting to get to the point where the maps are very juiced. You're having, enemies with 5 to 15 modifiers, and you're able to resurrect them and have them fight for you with those modifiers. That's the key, is that they'll keep their modifiers to be super strong. Now you might only be able to summon 1, instead of summoning a monster with no modifiers, and you might be able to summon 20. But I think this is going to be very, very broken, especially with all of the new support gem stuff coming, and just with being able to get more very high powerful monsters raised, I think it's gonna be very, very broken. They said as well in the live stream they expect some broken combinations. That's okay. They're trying to throw this out there and have fun with it, and that it is going to be strong. Definitely going to be using Spectre. Obviously recommend everyone else to as well. Then we have the Summon of the Roja mount and minion system. Cast while mounted, risk being knocked off via stagger bar. This is going to be very, very interesting. Finally, we're going to have a mount and minion system. Then we have crowd control rework, which is going to be interesting a lot, especially for newer players that don't have a ton of experience in the game. Stuns, freezes, shocks, and ailments are much more frequent and forces investment in defensive mechanics. You're going to be getting stunned, shocked, freezed a lot more than you were before, especially on those high tier maps with a ton of modifiers. This is going to be very, very difficult to work around. You're definitely going to have to work more on your defensive side, and with them nerfing our defensive capabilities of energy shield and stuff like that, it's definitely going to have to make us think differently when building these new classes and trying to create new builds that can just run through maps without dying. Definitely going to be interesting. They really seem like they want us to slow down and actually have to invest in the defensive mechanics and try and actually build around instead of just stacking energy shield, for instance. So definitely excited to see how this works. Could be good, or it could be really, really bad. We'll have to see. All right, itemization and crafting 100 plus new unique items. Absolutely insane. Focused on endgame. Spears, bucklers, and first ever unique charms. Absolutely insane. Love to see all of this new stuff. It's going to enable new kinds of builds, new kinds of crossovers and combinations. Some are probably going to be broken, and hopefully what I'm really hoping here is, since they're mid to end game focused, they're going to be chase items, things that might not necessarily be needed to have a very strong build, but will take your build to the next level. There's always the next level of your build, and having these super rare unique items to chase after really is what gives me, the motivation to go grind maps or grind whatever, bosses or whatever. So I really, really like this. And then probably one of the biggest things here is 100 plus new support gems, which is just absolutely insane to even think about. All the new combinations and synergies that are going to be possible because of this. And it's just going to be like a whole new game. So as we can see here, new mechanics, synergy potentials, example include bleeding explosions and position-based bonuses, which is going to be very, very interesting to see. Super excited to get my hands on these and discover all of the possible stuff that we can do. Then we have fracturing orbs, a rework to the crafting system. So you basically can lock in one modifier permanently for crafting. And so this is going to allow the creation of very, very powerful bases that basically can't be bricked easily, right? You're going to pick your most important thing. You'll be able to lock that in so it can't be bricked when trying to craft that up. Then we had runes and essences reworked. Runes now have multiple tiers with niche affixes, and new corrupted essences introduce unique combat / crafting effects. Definitely excited to see. Runes and essences honestly were not that useful. They were sometimes extremely rare to even get to drop, and overall weren't that useful in the crafting side of it. I did use a few, but overall I was just using stuff I found off the ground to then craft into, later weapons and stuff like that. So it's good to see that they're trying to rework this, and hopefully they'll have a bigger place in the end game. And then recombination. This is going to be interesting because I believe this is actually leaving Path of Exile 1. So you can combine 2 items in an attempt to merge your top affixes. Now, the trick here is this can destroy both items if unsuccessful, so you definitely want to be careful, but this is going to be incredibly powerful for crafting, especially once you get to the late game and you're only looking for the top of the top. This is going to allow a lot more opportunities to actually craft your gear than just randomly finding that perfect god roll on your chest piece, for example. So this is definitely something I'm excited to try out. I think could really be useful in the crafting. This is where I really hope they invest more time in the crafting system to really, really make it so that you can find perfect items on the ground, but you can also work very hard, but still craft items just as powerfully as well. All right, now we have the new Wisps system. Wisps found throughout maps empower enemies based on Asmeri animal themes. Defeat Wisp-infused enemies for socketable crafting items, huge, and a new map, the Asmeri Ranges, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, includes multiple wisps and a themed boss. Now, the wisps change map encounters dynamically and reward chasing them down. So it's definitely something you're going to want to be doing. And it sounds like it's really going to affect crafting. I'm very curious to see if this is something that's going to stay or more of a seasonal mechanic. But overall, hey, the more content, the better. The more stuff to do, the longer we can play the game. And overall, I think this is a great change. All right, next we have an in-game overhaul. 8 new maps: Fractured Lake, Essence Cavern, and the Megaliths. This is a 10-wave boss gauntlet with rune-based upgrades. Sounds insanely fun, and I'm really excited to see this. Then we have Corrupted versus Cleansed maps. Cleanse Nexus to unlock cleansed maps and farm fracturing orbs, or fully clear corrupted maps for a boss-specific unique drops. Honestly, amazing. Love to see that. And you must choose one path per region, no double dipping. So we'll have to choose. Are you going to go cleansed? Are you going to go corrupted? Are you farming, fracturing orbs or, boss-specific unique drops? Very, very interesting to see. And I like that choice in the region where you can't go everywhere. You have to pick a line and follow it. And you can change that up after you're done with that region, but you do have to stick with your choices there. Now, next we have the Tower and Tablet rework. Tower spawn rate reduced by 66% to reduce clutter. Also a good thing to see. Tower maps previously have just been ran with, trash waystones. You don't want to waste your good waystones on them. And so it's good to see that they're reducing those overall. You're not going to have to go through tower after tower after tower. And now each tower can consume 3 tablets, which is absolutely insane. So we're going to be able to drop 3 tablet modifiers into our towers to completely just absolutely juice the maps in its radius. It's going to absolutely be awesome. And now towers now include boss fights and full map mechanics, which is good to see. It might make it more useful now to actually use good waystones on towers. And then unique tablets enable strategic teleporting and encounter control, which would be very, very interesting to see. Being able to move around the map like that and do this encounter control, very excited to see what that means for the end game. And I promise you guys, I know this is a long video, we are getting to the end here. And we have the Atlas in progression. The Atlas tree has been expanded with new mechanics and bonuses. Great to see. 10 new Atlas passive points from completing unique maps. Love to see that. And a bookmark system in development for better navigation and planning. We don't have that obviously in the game now, but we'll have to see what that looks like later. Additional stash tabs and UI polishing coming post-launch, which should definitely be a Waystone stash tab, hopefully coming very soon. And then we have respawn and portal changes. Maps now allow up to 6 respawns, scaling down with added difficulty. Boss fights use pinnacle-style respawn mechanics. Pinnacle bosses no longer give XP, no longer remove XP, and can drop unique items at any tier, rare at low levels, of course, which is great. I know a lot of people will be very, very happy about these 6 respawns being added into maps with the difficulty scaling, boss fights for sure, and the pinnacle bosses. I'm glad we're not going to be gaining XP or losing XP on death. Really, really good to see, especially you get really, really high level into the high, 95, 96, 97. Dying on a pinnacle boss was just so defeating. And it felt like you had to grind for days to get to the next level before you could even safely fight a pinnacle boss because you didn't have XP. It was just really, really frustrating. So I'm glad to see they removed that from the game. You no longer have to be worried about fighting pinnacle bosses. All right, now we just have a few final notes to wrap this up. All changes apply to current early access characters, meaning that there will be a new league with a new economy. But if you don't want to play that, that's fine. You can play your current character in the current economy. It will be basically like a new league. That's how you can think of it. But all the changes are happening on the old early access characters as well. So if you don't want to play the new one, you don't want to mess with the new economy, you don't have to, which is great for the casual players, people who don't have a ton of time to play. And overall is a good thing coming to the game. And honestly, this is pretty nice because all of this content really leads heavily into, this build diversity and players being able to choose what they want to actually, build in and spec to, especially all the rebalancing and the new ascendancies. It's going to be awesome with all these new support gems. There's going to be so many more combinations and things that we can do to really revamp builds that we've tried in the past that maybe didn't work. New entirely builds that no one's ever thought of before because these support gems didn't exist. So I'm very, very excited to see, what the future of builds looks like in Path of Exile 2. I know I'm going to be trying to create some absolutely wacky and crazy ones. I hope you guys are too. But that's going to cover everything you need to know for Path of Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt. Now, of course, if you want to see more content about Path of Exile 2, stay tuned. We're going to be playing a lot of Dawn of the Hunt. There's going to be build guides, breakdowns on the new classes, new ascendancies, guides if we need them, basically all the content you need in one place here on the YouTube channel. So if you guys really like PoE 2, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in a future video. So with that, peace out and have a good day.